Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And today we're doing another episode of Who's That Cosplayer? And joining me on today's episode is Bellanephilim. How are you doing today, Bella?
I'm doing great, Benjamin. Thank you so much for asking. I hope everyone else is doing great too.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on Who's That Cosplayer, which is a segment that I do here on YouTube where I reach out to cosplayers from all over the world and have them come up here and have the spotlight on them and let all of the viewers in YouTube land and their fans get to know a little bit more about them. So thank you so much for reaching out. This is going to be my third episode now. So thank you. I'm happy that this thing is doing well. I'm happy that cosplayers are reaching out to me because they want to come on. And this is just really fun to do because I love cosplay.
Yeah, cosplay started out really small, and now that it's everywhere, I am happier than ever. Mm-hmm. Your other videos were so fantastic. Those other cosplayers were wonderful, and I couldn't be more ecstatic to talk to you about something that I'm super passionate about.
Thank you. Well, before we get into this interview, everybody that's watching, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Bella, something we always do here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks is we ask our guests, what is the origin story? So let everybody that's watching right now know who Bellanephilim is.
Well, I'm originally from Chicago. I'm actually a little bit older. I'm in my 30s. I'm 36.
Oh, for real?
Which is
nice. You don't look 36.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm also an esthetician, which helps. But basically, when I was younger, I started out with all of that old school anime. Well, it's not really those old school for us, like Inuyasha, Sailor Moon, Trigun, all the good stuff that started out on like Cartoon Network back in the day, and parents were like, what are you watching? And I'm like, chill. So when I was in junior high, my friends and I were watching all sorts of anime, and we realized, because the internet was just starting out, that there was this really cool thing where you could take a character and copy their costume and then go to a place where everyone else does the same thing. Mm-hmm. So my best friend Joanna said, hey, let's make costumes. And I went, oh, yeah, duh. So that's kind of where it started out in outskirts of Chicago, Illinois. And I have been moving around and making costumes ever since. It has not stopped since junior high. I'm sure my mom is very proud of me.
That's awesome. That's an awesome origin story. And, I love how, all of the cosplayers who I've had come up here, it's like, they watched anime and they went to their first con. They were, told or asked by some of their friends, like, hey, do you want to get into cosplay? Do you want to go to this con? Let's do it. And, cosplay is just such an amazing thing to do because it's just like when you dress up as somebody, you're not yourself. You're the character who you're portraying. And I also want to say too, like some of those animes that you name, like those, like for me, like those are the classics. You know what I'm saying? Something that me and Dee, we always ask our guests when we do our podcast episodes are, do you know what Ronin Warriors is? Did you ever watch that anime when you were younger?
I have experienced a little bit of Ronin Warriors, but I didn't get into it as much. When I was a little girl, I always wanted to be the princess. And I guess I dressed for the job that I wanted. Yeah,
because that cosplay is fire. It's fire. Now, let me ask you, are you cosplaying as Dark Zelda from Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds? I believe that was the game on the DS.
So she's actually a mixture. This skin is specifically from Smash Brothers.
Nice.
I wanted to be Zelda, and I was looking at everyone doing all these different skins, and I'm a little bit thicker of a gal. I'm around a size 22 in women's, which is a little bit bigger for most costumers, and I wanted something that I felt comfortable in. Of course, dark colors are just something that I'm always drawn to. Mm-hmm. This is actually one of my first larger armor builds as well. So this is maybe the third time I worked with Werbla, and a lot of this is Werbla. The bottom of the dress is covered in beading. So Smash Brothers really gave me the opportunity to do something both recognizable, but in the color palette that I really enjoy, this purple silver, dark colored Zelda.
Yeah, that's awesome. See, because like I'm happy that you said Smash Brothers, because like when I first saw it, I thought about The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, which was on the 3DS. I want to say it came out a couple of years ago, and that was the first time I had ever seen a dark Zelda. So, you know, I think it's cool. It's always been a cool thing in the Smash Brothers games where it's like they put the palette swaps of different colors in the game. So, you know, to piggyback off of the Zelda cosplay that you have on right now, is The Legend of Zelda, is that one of your favorite series?
You know how when you're little, you experience something and it's just in your head for the rest of your life, and it can be like one of the best memories that you have, and you don't even realize it's there until you revisit it. When I was little, I could hear the Zelda music playing from the basement. It wasn't me. My brother was littler than me. And I guarantee it was my mom. I guarantee you that woman was downstairs trying to beat The Legend of Zelda, like for hours and hours and hours. And, you know, when I was little, it was the first thing that I experienced as far as a video game. Yeah. I was born in '84, which is kind of like that height of the stay-at-home console when it first started. So, it just stuck with me. I've played a good majority of the games. And to be honest, Zelda's over 30 years old now. She's my girl.
Yeah.
And it's so weird to grow up knowing that something that I loved when I was little has been so able to sustain itself throughout the ages. And they keep coming out with these great games. You know, Wind Waker, Four Swords. There's so many, and there's a lot in Japan that we still haven't gotten to experience. There's over 30 games almost, I think. So when you look at it, this game is probably not going to go anywhere. It's a lot like Final Fantasy,
Super Mario,
Sonic, those sorts of things that keep coming back into our culture because they're super kid friendly.
Yep.
You know? So.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Like how you said, you know, Zelda is one of those games that has stood the test of time, just like, you know, Final Fantasy and all the other ones that you named. And it's like I feel like there's never been a bad Zelda. Well.
You can't take back.
Yeah, I had to stop myself because The Legend of Zelda 2, I believe it was Link's Awakening. No, not Link's Awakening. I can't remember what it was called, but I have that game. I still have The Legend of Zelda 2.
Is it Link to the Past?
No, A Link to the Past. That was the one on the Super Nintendo.
The Super Nintendo. Oh my goodness.
I'm about to look it up real quick.
So many of them. You're right, though. There are some that were just intolerable if you don't have something to help you maneuver through some of these worlds. They're so complex. And I remember when I was super little, that first forest.
Yes.
And they're like, you gotta go over once, over twice, down, then up, then around, go in a circle, throw some salt over your shoulder. Like,
yeah, you had to remember. And it was called A Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. That was the second one. And I remember because I didn't play it when it initially came out. It's like by the time I played it, you know, the 64 and the PS1 were already out. And I've read reviews of, you know, people who played it when it originally came out, and like they kind of crapped on the game because it changed so much. It became like a 2D beat 'em up game in a way, a platformer compared to what the original game was. And to piggyback off of what you had just said about the original game, it's like you did have to have good memory when it came to playing that game, because it's just like you could literally get lost playing. And I want to say back then, you know, like you kids nowadays, it's just like if y'all want to figure something out, y'all can go on YouTube and like they show you what you can do. But back then, if you didn't have that Nintendo power, you were screwed. Because
I did not have the internet at my fingertips when I was little, and
same.
You know, there's a lot to be said about the University of YouTube, as we call it, you know, or the source of Google, where you can literally just kind of pop it in and hope that there's someone there that gives you the answer. And not only that, but like a visual. I think that one of my favorite things about the Zelda universe is the different, you know, we've got all these legends, gods, goddesses that, okay, hear me out. When you're playing and it says you've only got 24 hours remaining, or when you dawn of the next day, you're like, I'm done. So many remote controls were thrown across rooms. it's almost as bad as Mario Kart, you know, except you're not fighting the person next to you. You're just so mad.
Yeah, no, I those stories, man. Mario Kart, Diddy Kong Racing, like back in the day, 64 was where it was at. I mean, like I enjoyed the PS1 because they did have, I'll say they had better games, but the 64, like just those multiplayer games alone, like we had this discussion on the podcast where Trav, he had brought up, you know, when it comes to like the kart games, he said that Crash Team Racing was the superior game. And I was just like, well, you know, it was a fun game, but unless you had the multi-tap, you were only going to be playing with one person. Whereas with Mario Kart and Diddy Kong Racing, your friends, they brought over the 3 controllers and then y'all could go ahead and play together. And that was one of the things that I loved about the Nintendo 64 growing up.
Yeah, I think one of the ones that stuck with me, and it didn't last very long, was that Dreamcast. And I played Crazy Taxi for a while, and I think that is a reflection of my driving record. So.
Oh man, yeah, Crazy Taxi, that was my game back then. That and GTA, like those. I remember when I first started driving, I was just like, I'm gonna act like this is GTA, but it's like, no, you can't drive like it's GTA. You can't. I mean, even though people really do drive like it's GTA, you can't really drive like it's GTA. So
no,
I wanted that.
Take a drive through the city of Atlanta, and that's about all there really is.
But yeah, I wanted to, get back on some of the cosplays that you've done, because you have so many amazing costumes that you've done. Like, I love your Thor, I love your Green Lantern, and the Sailor Mars. Like, Sailor Mars, that's my favorite Sailor Scout. And when you had mentioned earlier, Sailor Moon was one of the things that you enjoyed watching growing up, and then you did Sailor Mars. I feel like one of the cool things about cosplay is you don't have to necessarily be the main character. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Sailor Mars, she wasn't the main character, but she was a badass. You know what I'm saying? I loved her attitude. And it's just like, you don't have to be Sailor Moon. You can be Sailor Mars, and people will, point it out. Oh my God, like I love, like how I'm doing right now. Like I'm fangirling, like Sailor Mars, like she was my favorite growing up. But like I say, you have so many amazing costumes that you've done, man. And I just want to give you a pinkies up for that, because it's awesome. You know what I'm saying? And another thing I wanted to touch on too was, the body positivity that you have on your social media accounts, because cosplay is for everyone. You know what I'm saying? And, I always love it because I'm a huge, supporter of, body positivity when it comes to, everyone. I feel like, at the end of the day, it's like we are all beautiful, and it's just like we all have the right to, do what we love to do. And I love that with cosplay, it allows us to do that.
Of course. And I tell you what, I've always let my body tell me what I'm going to be comfortable in that day. I have this thing where I bring multiple costumes to places, and I'm like, well, what am I going to be comfortable in this afternoon? How am I feeling mentally? How am I feeling about my physical appearance? I am actually the current Mrs. Georgia Plus America. I actually hold a title, a crown, and a sash as well.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know that you go to NecoCon a lot, right? NecoCon's kind of like the place.
Yeah.
I was with a group called Last Minute Cosplay. And a couple of years ago, I wore this to NecoCon after being body shamed at an event, TwitchCon 2018. I created a costume for Gwendolyn from Odin Sphere, another 8-bit game that not a lot of people are familiar with, but once again, one of those princesses that was super unique to my childhood. And there was a little bit of a body shaming incident while I was on stage, and I tried not to go back and read the comments because I don't want to be affected by them, but some of the good comments were mixed in. Obviously, I had friends and people that saw that everything that I had made was really impressive. I had servos. I had 2 pairs of wings that opened and closed mechanically. It was over 900 hours streamed live of me creating this costume, and I realized really quickly that something that should have been one of my greatest moments wasn't. And I let it bother me. So I went to NecoCon right after. It was literally the weekend after, and my friend Toma, who is part of Last Minute Cosplay, they constantly perform at NecoCon at their masquerades. They're notorious
Yeah.
For their skits. And she goes, hey, I need you to be in a skit. And I told her, I'm not, I'll bring, she goes, whatever costume makes you feel best. And I wore Zelda because this is my first actual like handcrafted, super detailed costume I was super proud of. And that skit that weekend, I was on stage crying. It was emotional and positive, and it was about breaking through all of those things that we let get into us.
Mm-hmm.
I love my friends. My friends are old, young, tall, skinny. We have different Fitzpatrick scales of skin, dark to light. We have different features. Some of us are missing limbs, have vestigial tails. We have so many unique things that make us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And cosplay is that beautiful thread literally woven through all of these pieces. I'd hate to let someone else's insecurity about what I look like keep me or my friends from enjoying the things that have made us happy for decades. Like when I say decades, I was 12 or 13 maybe when I made my first costume, when I went to my first event. I mean, I'm in my 30s now. I go to Dragon Con and I feel like my family is there.
Yeah.
And, I've been learning a lot about letting people say what they want to say, but realizing that sometimes what they have to say about me is more of a reflection of who they are.
Exactly.
Than who I am. So, I appreciate that positivity. We got to keep it up. There's still a lot to do here. I'd like to actually mention, if that's okay, that in Europe, they still don't have plus size cosplayers.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
I was at an event and there was a cosplayer who I believe, not a cosplayer, a photographer, I believe he was from England or France. And, I'm in something that I felt was very detailed and I was proud of it. And I can't remember what it was. I was at Katsucon and, he was asking my friend for photos, but I'm right there. And I was like, could you take a photo? Me could share a photo, And, we don't photograph plus size cosplayers. We don't have fat cosplayers.
Wow.
And I was like,
what a dick, man.
Oh man. And I just I was like, well, if that's how you feel, sometimes I feel like, and this is no nod to photographers, because there are some photographers that are fantastic at what they do. If you don't feel like you can make me using angles and light and all of the tools and tricks and everything that you have, make my costume really shine with the body that I have, then maybe you don't have the skill.
Yeah.
I know some fantastic photographers here that work with me even on my worst days, even on the days where I wake up and my bed head is and I'm feeling like whatever, or my acne's really doing whatnot, or I'm bloaty, or I'm angry, I'm cranky. I could be wearing a potato sack, and these photographers will look at me and see certain beauties that I don't. But they knock it out of the park, and that's how I feel sometimes. Is I want to work with someone who wants to work with me. I want to work with you, and that person. I want to go to NecoCon. I want to see all my friends because they're there to see each other. If you're not there to see me, that's okay. I don't need to spend time.
Yeah. Who's that cosplayer?
It's Lila.
So we work with the people that are going to make us look good. Those photos behind you, some of those photographers, like I woke up feeling like farts someday, but somehow, man, I'm like,
they made you feel fantastic. They made you feel plus ultra. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I love. And it sucks that so many cosplayers, it's like, they put all of, these hours, time, energy into, making these fantastic costumes only for, I'll say it's more of a small demographic of people, because, a lot of people, they're supportive. Like, all of the cons that I've ever been to, or whenever I see somebody post cosplay online, like I see nothing but love and support. But you have like these small percentage of people who just try to come online and try to ruin, that cosplayer's day by saying something ignorant that of course they wouldn't say to that person's face. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's like, screw those people, because like I said, it's like, you know, this is our first time talking to each other. And like I had said, when I first you know, when you had first reached out to me and I looked at your cosplay, like I saw nothing but, you know, amazing costumes. And even as like I'm looking right now and we're talking, it's just like nothing but amazing costumes. So it sucks when you have these people that like go out of their way just to say something negative when somebody has created like a masterpiece. And I'm happy that, you know, you didn't let what those people said about you at the other con, and when you came to NecoCon, like you were on stage and you felt nothing but love and support and positivity.
I cried like a baby, and I've never. So I don't know. Have you ever done a skit? Have you ever been on the stage where you can?
I mean, I'm trying to think, have I ever done a skit? I mean, because I used to be a professional wrestler.
So you know when you've got the lights on you, but you can't quite see everyone really, like you can see maybe like 4 or 5 feet in front of you, and the rest of the room is kind of a blur.
Oh yeah, where it's just nothing but okay. If you can compare it to anything, kind of like stand-up comedy.
Yeah,
because I have done stand-up comedy, and you really can't see everybody in the back, and the spotlight is right on you.
So we're on stage, and they've got those lights up pretty bright at NecoCon because they love to see the sparkles. And we could see the judges table, and I could see some of the judges were crying, and then I started crying, and then and then there was like this weird moment where I've never seen the audience, so the lights were up just enough at the end where I could see people standing up. I'm in tears, and I've got this dark makeup on, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look ugly crying later. I'm lucky to have a group of people that have been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah.
We get called old, we get called, uggo or whatever. But we've been around each other, enough to be able to say, hey, this looks like this, we should fix it. So there's this huge difference between us being supportive of each other and then other people being critical, overly critical of what you do. And with the age of the internet, the way it is, everyone has the opportunity to be critical.
Yeah, everybody's on the platform. They can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
But so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. We just definitely need to make sure that people have that support system. I'm just super lucky.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that run cosplay masquerades. I run NashiCon. I know the young lady that's running NecoCon's masquerade now. You get to know the community, and you start to realize all of these wonderful things and these wonderful people and the support system you can truly have. So I think that even with the internet the way it is, it can be kind of superficial. And so I think it's hard for us to come back from that a little bit. But having each other is really just the coolest thing ever. I absolutely love it. It's definitely been easier as I move around. So makes cosplay easier, makes learning how to cosplay easier. Bless the knowledge, the cosplay knowledge gods.
Yeah, I know. We back when we had first started our podcast, one of our good friends, Shirley, she's a plus size cosplayer, and she's in the Florida area. And that was one of the things that she mentioned is that when it comes to cosplay, it's like you want to have a group of friends that you could just do this with, because it's like when you have that group of people, it's like nothing else matters, because it's like y'all are going there, y'all are having fun, y'all support each other, and it's pretty much like nothing that anybody says is going to get to you for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that I love about cosplay, because it does bring people together. And it's kind of, when you think about it for real, it's kind of like a RPG where it's just like you meet a new person, and then it's like your team keeps growing, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about Final Fantasy. It's just it sucks that there are people like that, but I love the fact that we don't let these people hold us down. You know what I'm saying? One thing, because like one of my favorite animes right now is My Hero Academia, and Bakugo, like his character development in the series, like it's been phenomenal. And one of the things that he said when this little kid was coming at him was that he said, if you're always looking down on other people, you'll never be able to fix your own weaknesses. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people do. It's just like they're always, like you said, they're being critical, but it's just like, you're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's something that I could look at your cosplay and say that, oh, well, you need work on that. Cosplay is just about having fun. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cool if you want to give some tips so that way that everybody can be better, or it might be something with your cosplay that like it might need a small dash just to fix it. But it's like, don't be critical and like don't put somebody down and think that your like your shit don't stink. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not everything. No, Boo Boo does not smell like roses.
Yeah, hey, that's my favorite Outkast song. So something that we also do here is like, we love to, get to know the people who are behind the costumes and underneath the wigs. So like, what are some hobbies that you have that you love to do when you're not cosplaying?
Well, I watch an infinite amount of movies and TV. I'm one of those weird people that can listen to a song and probably recite a good portion of the lyrics right after. I have a really odd memory that way.
Yeah.
But I'm a movie person. I don't know. I could sit there and watch. I know it sounds lazy, but watching movies. So I have movies on constantly while I'm working, and I know that a lot of people do too. So I think I've watched Scrubs like a dozen times. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, all that good stuff. I also, because I'm currently holding a title for the state of Georgia, I actually have nationals in July. So at the end of July, I have to go and vie for the big crown and see if I can represent the entire nation as a plus size beauty and volunteer. So I've been doing a lot of volunteer work. The city that I live in, the city of Noonan, which I am okay with everyone knowing, that's fine because, everything is public anyway.
Yeah.
For the most part. The city that I live in was actually hit by an F4 tornado a little while ago. So there's been a lot of need for volunteer stuff.
Yeah.
This last year, I think I had like 22 yards of fabric. I sewed all of that into masks. It's almost gone.
That's awesome. Like, I always think it's cool when it's just like, that's one thing that heroes do. It's like, they always help people that are in need. And, I love that it's like you made those masks for people to help them out. You know what I'm saying? It's like it doesn't matter how big or how small it is. That's what she said. You're helping people. And like, that's what heroes do.
Yeah, I know a lot of seamstresses and customers that came out of the woodwork and just went, well, we can't go to a convention. We've got the skills. We've got the knowledge. There's a need. And I think it's fantastic that people did it. I know a lot of costumers that really stepped up and just we have so many scraps of fabric. I'm not even going to lie about it. So much fabric. A lot of us look at our craft rooms and go, what am I doing with my life? So much fabric. And for us to just have the opportunity to use that extra fabric to do something good, I'm sure a lot of costumers really, it was their time to just, do something else. Yeah. I never in a million years thought that I would have to do anything sewing that was so community service orientated. And I know that we didn't have conventions this last year that were, conventional.
Yeah.
A lot of online stuff, but this next year we're looking very positive, and I think that it's great because a lot of people have been at home doing stuff while we're in this pandemic.
Yeah.
Practicing, playing with foam, playing with Werblo, playing with all kinds of other mediums, Sintra, different types of adhesives and glues and fabrics. I think that this was a really weird downtime where a lot of people probably honed a lot of amazing skills. So this next year is going to be kind of crazy, I think. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen, once the cons are able to be filled with people again. And it's like, I know that so many people, like friends that are in the cosplay, that do cosplay and whatnot, like they have so many costumes that they have that are just ready to go, because it's like you're sitting at home and it's just like, you're just you need to do something. You need to find something to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like I feel like you can only play video games for so long before it's just like I need to do something that is gonna be get the creative juices going and flowing. So one thing I wanted to ask you is your cosplay name. Like, how did you come up with it?
Okay, are you ready to feel the old school?
Uh-oh, I love this.
Back in time. I'm gonna take you on an adventure. Like Sophia from Golden Girls. Picture this: a young girl watching X-Files with her dad on Sunday nights. There's an episode of X-Files where it's a very biblical episode, where they're looking for these angels that were actually partial human, partial angel, and they were called Nephilim. I ended up doing a project on them. I wanted to know more about them. It turns out that they're only in certain translations of the Bible in certain places. There's a lot of clouding from it. So before I had the ability to look it up on the internet, I had to figure out how to spell it. So I actually spelled it improperly phonetically the first time with a PHALYM, back in the day with AOL. So the origin of this name is that I was sitting around watching episodes of X-Files with my dad, and I really thought that the translation, they were these half human, or partial human, partial angel messengers of the Lord. And I grew up Catholic, to keep religion simple. I am not anymore, but the implications of something celestial mixing with the humanity, when I started to look into it, they were actually very feared, very large, almost gigantic, scary creatures. Yeah. What made me feel kind of cool to have this word knowledge that meant this messenger of good things that was also slightly feared. So kind of went with that.
Just hearing that story, it kind of reminds me of Dante from the Devil May Cry series in a way. Am I spot on with that?
You're good. Yeah. I mean, it's so great to have these inspirations. And I tell you that, this name is back from the dial-up AOL.
Yeah. The 90-day trial.
Oh yeah. About 80 of them.
Oh, trust me. I know. I stayed going up to Walmart, getting those 90-day trials on the dial-up internet, where it's just like nobody could call you if you were on the internet.
My mom hated my teen years. It wasn't Zelda, it was AOL. So I remember being on AOL chats with this name, and I'm gonna be, here it comes, Gaia Online.
I remember that. I remember Gaia Online. I never played it, but I remember it though.
It is still my handle. You can look me up if you want. It's hilarious.
Hey, shout it out, because I'm sure that there's some people that still play Gaia Online.
There has to be, because there's still people there, and people that I recognize from a decade ago that go, you still have the same name. Yeah, I just never changed it. It's my cosplay. It makes it easy for people to find you if you lose them, because to be honest, I've moved around every 2 years. So my husband was active duty military. It's easier for people to find you. And when I was younger, I didn't understand the idea of making a name that people could pronounce. Yeah. It didn't bother me at all. As an adult, they say, hey, your name's not marketable. And I go, that's okay. I'm okay. It's my name and I like it. And it's really odd that you can Google it and it pops up and I go, oh no.
Yeah. Who's laughing now? Just like that movie, Look Who's Talking Now. You know what I'm saying? But no, that's awesome, and I appreciate you telling the origin story of your name. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to hear how a cosplayer comes up with this cool creative name. I know me as a cosplayer, I'm still just Benjamin Banks. You know what I'm saying? It's like
good name.
Yeah, my name it carries weight. You know what I'm saying? And it's a cool name. So it's Benjamin Banks the Cosplayer. You know what I'm saying? Just like when it comes to wrestling, I'm Benjamin Banks. When it comes to doing comedy, I'm Benjamin Banks. Everybody knows who Benjamin Banks is. So when you type in Benjamin Banks on Google, I come up. You know what I'm saying?
It's recognizable.
Exactly. So I have one last question for you, and then we can wrap this thing up. To anybody who would like to get into cosplay, what is some advice that you would give them?
Oh, do it. Just do it. Have fun. Go into your closet, put something together that looks like, brings to life a character that you feel inside, whether it's an original character, a character that exists, a character in a different skin or a different theme, punk rock, different timelines. I just have fun. There's so many people that go through life and they wake up and they go to work and they go to bed and they do the same thing over and over again without the joys of finding something that they can be passionate about that isn't work. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to look perfect. You don't have to compete. That's not for everyone. Some people find joy in competition. If that's what you want to do, do it. Mm-hmm. Some people find joy in walking around in their pajamas dressed as Usagi. Do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some pictures rolling back there, and there's me. I'm in a onesie. I'm in a onesie with a wig, and gosh darn it, was I comfortable and adorable. Mm-hmm. So go in your closet, hit the internet. There are so many places you can find information. Kamui Cosplay there's books. Evil Ted has books. Humble Bundle has literal bundles of books where it will teach you how to do things. Mm-hmm. You can reach out to any costumer and ask them, hey, how did you do that? And I guarantee there is a place for them to link to you how they did it. It's part of what makes now so great. So you should do it, and you should feel good about it, and you should just enjoy your life. Right now I feel like I only got one left to live, but I got 9 lives. It's great. Yeah, so you should just enjoy it, because if you can't just go through life. You gotta have fun. Make new friends. Take that chance. You know, it's a good chance to take. Cosplay will open doors to good mental health. There's lots of people that are great with mental health, body positivity. So emotional, physical, spiritual, fun people that just want to be near you because you all love the same thing. So I'd say give it a chance, and don't be afraid to ask. Because if you ask me how I made this, I could go on for hours.
Hey, that's a good thing, though. That's a good thing. Pull out the notebook, take some notes.
Learn from the elder. We call this elder millennials. There's a comedian. She goes, elder millennials. We've done these things. We've experienced it. We've been there, and I'm glad that I have been there, because my experiences make it easier for a younger generation. I've got the Carolina Manga Library for reading. We've got manga, we've got anime all over the place, and you should just get to enjoy the things that make you happy.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you. Anybody that's watching, not anybody, everybody that's watching, it's like, take her advice, take Bella's advice, and just have fun and just love what you do. And with that being said, thank you everybody for watching the new episode of Who's That Cosplayer. Thank you, Bella, for joining us. And before I let you go, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
I have a Twitter, a Twitch, a Tumblr. I have everything. I've got a Gmail. Bellanephilim at Gmail. My Instagram is Bella_Nephilim, and I have a link tree there. You can find me anywhere. And I also have an old Twitch channel if you want to see how I built Gwendolyn. There's mechanics involved. It was really weird. So feel free to hit me up. I respond pretty avidly if I can to all of my social media, including my current Crown and Sash media. So if you find me and you want to say hi or have a question or just want to show me a costume that you made, show it, do it. I'm here, and hopefully it's easy for you to get a hold of me, because I'd love to hear from people.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining me, man. And like always, you can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, at KingBenji_Banks on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Thank you again for watching a brand new episode of Who's That Cosplayer? And like I always say, keep that pinky up, stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.